Right, okay. Start doing question number 30. Start doing question number 30. Right, today I have a small plan to start vertical motion under gravity next chapter, right? But yesterday I planned to do one class, but I could not do because of these time issues, right? So today our plan is we are doing remaining questions in the linear motion tube, right? That's our first plan. If it is possible, we are going with next chapter, vertical motion under gravity, today itself, right? That's the plan. And obviously, before this Sunday, this week Sunday. Now today it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. On or before Sunday, so you will get your uh, vertical motion under gravity tubes to your home, right? That's also possible. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Question number 30. Right, 30. How many of you started doing question number 30? Raise your hands. Started doing question number 30, raise your hands. Started doing. And also I want to say that if there are any, now there are some new students as well. So you don't worry that in case that if you could not catch up this linear motion section completely, all right. So I will send all the recordings for you students. So therefore you can go through that recordings and you can cover as soon as possible, right? So therefore you don't need to worry. I will discuss many questions in linear motion. Then only I will start next section. So therefore, it's completely all right if you don't understand anything today. It's completely all right. You just stay in the session and you just see how a class is going, right? Right. Okay. Question number 30. The length of the second hand of a clock is 5 centimeters. Find the displacement, average speed, average velocity of the tip of the second hand in below time intervals. Now they have given length of the second hand. Now we know that in a clock there is second hand, minute hand and hour hand, right? So when we consider second hand in a clock, this is my clock. Let's say initially your second hand is exactly your second hand, right? And they have given length of the second hand is how much? 5 centimeters. 5 centimeters. This is 5 centimeters. Okay, 5 centimeters, right? Okay. What else? Find the displacement, average speed and average velocity of the tip of the second hand in below time intervals. When this second hand passes from 0 second to 15 seconds. When this second hand passes from 0 second to 15 seconds, they are asking what is the displacement of the tip, what is the average speed of the tip, and what is this average velocity of the tip, right? Now look at it. In second hand, 0 second belongs to this point, right? 0 seconds. Here it's raining. Then this belongs to 15 seconds. Am I correct? 15 seconds. So this point belongs to 30 seconds, right? 30 seconds. 0 second, 1 second, 2 second, 3 second, 15 seconds, 30 second. Suppose this tip reaches somewhere here, 45 seconds has been passed. 45 seconds. Then again, as this tip comes here, again 60 seconds, right? Now they are asking displacement, average speed and average velocity between 0 to 15 seconds. 0 to 15 seconds, right? Okay. Right. When t equals 0, Our tip is exactly here. After 15 seconds later, what can you say about the second hand? It will reach this position, right? After 15 seconds later. Now here is your tip. What is your initial point? This is your initial point. What is the final point after 15 seconds? This is your final point of the tip after 15 seconds. What we want to find? We want to find displacement. Displacement means what? The shortest distance between initial point and final point. Now this is my initial point. This is my final point. So if I draw shortest, if I draw a straight line passing through initial point and final point, I will get my displacement, right? So what is my displacement? This will be my displacement, right? This is my displacement. Initial point is here. After 15 seconds later, here is my final point. So if I can measure the length of the straight line, if I can measure the length of the straight line, that is the displacement done by the tip after 15 seconds. So raise your hands. How many of you understand? Let your hands up. Raise your hands. How many of you understand what I explained? Okay. So then displacement means what? So I say this point is point capital O. This point is point capital O. This point I say point capital A. This point I say point capital B. So if I consider O capital A capital B, it's a right angle triangle, right? So when I consider OAB right angle triangle, what can I say? I can say that if I want to find the displacement, this length, I can apply what? Pythagoras. I can apply Pythagoras. So this length of the tip is 5, length of the second hand is 5 centimeters. This is also 5 centimeters, right? This is 5 centimeters. This will be 5 centimeters. You want to find this length. So if you find this length, that is the displacement of the tip within 15 seconds, right? So then if I say this AB, it's AB. If I apply Pythagoras theorem, Pythagoras theorem, then what we can say? We can say that AB squared equals what? 5 centimeter squared plus this length squared, 5 centimeter squared. Then we are getting how much? AB squared equals 5 squared plus 5 squared. 5 squared means 25. 5 squared means again 25. Then when I take the root, AB equals 25 plus 25, 50 whole root. 50 whole root centimeters. 50 whole root centimeters AB length. Then what is the displacement? Displacement within 15 seconds is, displacement within 0 to 15 seconds is how much? Root 50 centimeters. So, but you can keep this answer in meters as well. How many of you got something like this answer? How many of you got an answer similar to this one answer? How many of you got something like this answer? Raise your hands. How many of you understand this one? Raise your hand. Understood? How many of you understood this one? Raise your hand. Right. So then the displacement is, the displacement of the tip of the second hand is root 50 centimeters, right? Okay. Then if you want to find the velocity of the tip, you know displacement. If you want to find the velocity of the tip, you know displacement. You know time. Time is how much? 15 seconds, right? So therefore we can apply velocity means what? Displacement over time, right? So velocity of the tip is how much? Displacement, that is root 50 centimeters. So I can convert centimeters into meters by how? If I want to convert root 50 centimeters into meters, multiplying by to the power minus 2, Time is how much? 15 seconds. 15 seconds. Then I will obtain the answer in terms of ms minus 1. What is the value of root 50, anyone? Just put in the chat box if you got the value of root 50. If anyone got the value of root 50, put in the chat box quickly. Anyone got the value of root 50? Put in the chat box. Quickly. 0.07. Any other answers for root 50? Any other answers for root 50 quickly? Seven point zero seven. 7.07. Yeah, that's possible. Root 50 means 7.07. So root 50 means how much? 7.07 over 15 minus 2. Then what is the answer? Could you tell me someone the answer? What will be the answer? The velocity. What will be the answer? Quickly. When this tip of the second hand moves from this point, within 15 seconds, we found the displacement of the tip. Displacement of the tip is a straight line. I measured the length of the straight line that I got, that length is 50 centimeters. Then if you want to find the velocity of that tip, velocity means what? Displacement over time. My displacement I found as 50 centimeters. If I divide by the time taken, that means 15 seconds, I will get the velocity. So if you got an answer, put the answer chat box. One got 0.0047. 0.0047 ms minus 1. How many of you got this answer? How many of you got this answer? Raise your hands. How many of you got this answer? Raise your hands. How many of you got velocity as 0.0047? Raise your hands. Many. Very good. Now look at here. Next they are asking, look at here. Listen very carefully. Now, first they asked, when this tip of the second hand moves within 15 seconds, what is the displacement of the tip, right? Displacement of the tip means the shortest distance between initial point of the tip and final point of the tip, right? Then we found displacement of the tip as how much? Root 50 centimeters. And then they asked velocity of the tip. Then we found the velocity of the tip as 0.0047. But now they are asking speed of the tip, right? Now they are asking speed. They are asking average speed. Average speed. Now we know that average speed means what? We learned that average speed means total distance over total time. Very carefully listen. Stop doing. Look at it. Average speed means we what? We learned total distance over total time. Right? Total distance over total time. Look at it. Look at it. Now, if I ask you that, what is the path? Leave a reply. What is the path traveled by the tip of second hand? Leave a reply. What shape of path? What type of path traveled by the tip of the second hand? Leave a reply. From within 15 seconds time period, what path traveled by the tip of the second hand? What type of path? Anyone? It's an arc, right? So this tip travels in an arc, right? Do you understand? When you consider the tip, it travels in a circular arc, a circular shape arc, right? It travels a circular arc. So if you want to find the average speed, you know total time is obviously 15 seconds. But total distance means what? Distance traveled by the tip. This tip follows a circular arc. You got it? So what is the equation you guys learned to find the arc length? Can you remember? What is the equation you guys learned to find the arc length? Any equations you can remember in O levels? How do you find the arc length? We learned that if you want to find the length of entire perimeter, if for entire circumference of the circle, we are using what equation? 2 phi r equation, right? Suppose if you want to find a particular arc, then we are using theta over 360. How many of you can remember if you want to find a particular arc length, the equation that we want to use is 2 phi r into theta over 360. Raise your hand. Then what is this theta? This theta means what? Angle subtended at the center. Now this arc produces 90 degree at the center of the circle. So your theta is 90. So if you want to find the total distance, look at here. Total distance, we can see the entire arc length, the total distance. We can say what? Total distance as 2 phi r into 90 over 360. Then what is the value of 2? 5 means what? 3.14. Now radius. What is the radius of this circle? Radius equals to what? Length of the second hand. What is the length of the second hand? The length of the second hand is how much? 5 centimeters. So if I convert 5 centimeters to meters, here if I divide here 1, here it's 4. 104. Then I will obtain what? I will obtain here 2 get cancelled out. 2 is remaining. If I divide 5 with this 2, 2.5, 3.14, 2.5 minus 2. How many of you understand hands? How many of you understand how I obtain total distance answer? Raise your hands. How many of you understand how I obtain total distance? Raise your hand if you understand. It's very simple. Basically, what I have done, I realized that distance traveled by the second hand is a circular arc. If I want to find the length of the circular arc, we are using what equation? 2 phi r theta over 360, right? So what is my radius? Radius means length of the second hand. Length of the second hand is 5 centimeter. 2, 5 means 3.14. Radius means 5 centimeters. I convert to meters. 90 or 360 means how much? 104. And then I can obtain 3.14. If I divide this by this, 2.5 minus 2. So you can say average speed as what? We can say average speed. Average speed, we can say that total distance, something like this, 3.14, 2.5 to the power minus 2 over total time is 15. So you guys can't see here. So if I erase here, so we can say average speed, total distance is 3.14, 2.5 10 to the power minus 2. Total time taken is 15 seconds. When you simplify this, you will obtain average speed. How many of you got the answers? Raise your hands. How many of you got the answers? If you have logbook, do the simplification using log. Raise your hands. How many of you got the answers? Only 4? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you got the answers, put your answers in the chat box quickly. If you got the answers, put the answers in your chat box quickly. Quickly. Put the answers. So one got 0.0157. Others? 0.5 to 0.52 centimeters per second. Any other answers? Any other answers? How many of you still doing this question? Raise your hand. One got 0.0. All the answers are vary. Why? How many of you still doing? Raise your hand. Still doing? Still doing the question? Raise your hand. Right. Okay. One got 0.07. What's the answers? I can't find some equal answers. Why? Keep doing. Keep doing. Keep doing. Right. Today we are doing questions. Right. So 3.14 into 2.5 or 15. 0.523 minus 2. Answer is what? 0.523 minus 2. That means 5.23 10 to the power minus 3 m is minus 1. This is your answer. Right? Now very carefully listen. Now what have we done? Look at it. Stop doing everyone. Look at here. Look at it. Now what we wanted is, now there's second hand. This second hand when t equals 0, the tip of the second hand exactly placed at point capital A. After 15 seconds later, tip of the second hand is at point capital B. What we wanted to find is, we want to find displacement of the second hand tip. Initial point of your tip is at A, final point of your tip is at point capital B. If you want to find the displacement of the tip, the shortest distance means the straight line between A and B. When you measure the length of the straight line, that is what we call as displacement. So we found displacement of the tip is root 50 centimeters. Then we found average velocity. Average velocity means what? Total displacement to a total time. I found the total displacement, initial point, final point. That means initial tip point, final tip point. The total displacement I found as 50 centimeters. Time taken is obviously 15 seconds. I found the answer for average velocity. The very important thing is when finding average speed. Average speed means we know that total distance over total time. The problem is, how do we find total distance? Because we know that when you consider the path of the tip is a circular arc. So how do we find the length of the circular arc? It's an oral knowledge. This is an oral knowledge. 2 pi r means total length of your perimeter. If you multiply by theta or 360, then you can easily find the length of this arc. Based on that, I found these answers. Right? I think you guys understood. Right, okay. Then they are asking Roman number 2, simple B, 0 second, 30 second. How many of you started doing that one? Simple B. Now you guys can do. How many of you started doing second one? 0 second to 30 seconds. Raise your hands. Started doing. How many of you started doing 0 second to 30 seconds? Everyone start trying. Everyone start trying. Within 30 seconds, initially your tip is at this position. After 30 seconds, your tip will be somewhere here. Right? I'm erasing the board. Right? Take a screenshot if you could not write down this one. We'll take a screenshot. Now I'm erasing the board. No, that is easy, right? It's not difficult. Second one is not difficult, right? Look at it. When t equals 0 second, our tip is exactly at point capital A. After 30 seconds later, this is 15 seconds T. After 30 seconds later, tip will be somewhere here. Then now your tip will be exactly here. The position of tip will be somewhere here. I see this point as point capital C. Point capital C. When t equals 0, tip is at point capital A. When t equals 30 seconds, your tip is at point capital C. Do you understand? If you want to find the displacement of the tip, what you want to do? Displacement means what? Shortest distance between initial point and final point. Everyone leave a reply. Anyone can answer. What is the displacement of your tip? Initial point to final point, the shortest distance. Everyone leave a reply. What is the displacement of the tip now? Leave a reply. Leave a reply, everyone. I'm expecting reply from everyone. Everyone leave a reply. Now, what is the displacement of the tip? Quickly. Displacement means the shortest distance between initial point to final point. Leave a reply, everyone. So be humble, leave a reply. How many replies I am getting? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes. Very easy. Initial point is here. Final point is here. The distance between point capital A to point capital C, a straight line, that is we call as displacement. 5 centimeters plus 5 centimeters, 10 centimeters. So therefore we can say displacement. How much? 10 centimeters. If I convert to meters, minus 2 meters. So therefore displacement I can say 0.1 meters. Then if you want to find the average velocity. Next we want to find average velocity. Average velocity means we know total distance over total time. Total distance over total time. Now total distance, sorry my bad, total displacement to total time. Average velocity means what? Total displacement or total time. Within 30 seconds, displacement done by the tip is 0.1 meters. So I know my total displacement is 0.1. Total time is how much? 30 seconds this time. 30 seconds from here to here, 30 seconds, right? 30 seconds. What is the answer? What is the answer? What is the answer? 0.130. So I can write down like this. So I can write down like this now. 0.1030 means I can write down this one in into 10 to the power minus 2 over. I can write down this 0.1 as 10 into 10 to the power minus 2. 0.1 I can write down 10 into 10 to the power minus 2. Why? Because minus 2 means again it will be 0.1. 30 means 3 into what? 10 to the power 1. Then 10 over 3 means how much? 3.33. Numerator power is 10 to the power minus 2. Denominator power 10 to the power 1. Then I will obtain 10 to the power minus 3. 3.33. 10 to the power minus 3. M is minus 1 as my answer. How many of you got this answer for average velocity answer? How many of you got this answer for average velocity? Raise your hands. Raise your hands. How many of you got this answer for your average velocity? Quickly. I will give some time. Don't waste the time. You also get the answers. C part I am not going to do in the class. C part you do at home. We tried A part. Now we are trying simple B part. Go home and try C part. Right? How many of you started doing average speed hands in simple B part? How many of you started doing average speed? Raise your hand. Started doing average speed. Yes, very good. So don't waste your time. Right? Every single minute, that's very important. Now time is 8 o'clock. Right? So therefore, don't waste your time. So when you came to a session, I always say that pay your 100% what? Focus and stay in the session until session completely finished. Right? So don't waste your time. Until I give a break, keep your focus. You keep on trying. Sometimes you know that it's not like a physical class. Sometimes I can't check what you are doing. Sometimes I can't give so much time as well, right? But whatever the time that I give, try to do the question within that given time. Now, average speed means total distance traveled by the tip. When t equals 0 to when t equals 30 seconds, how do you find the total distance traveled by the tip? It's a what? Something like this, right? Half of a perimeter, half of a circumference. Then how do you find this length? 180-degree angle. How do you find the length of this arc? 25r. Your theta is 180 over 360. That means half. 180 over 360 means that's half. So 25r into half. 25r means total perimeter of your circle. Half of that perimeter is equal to this arc, right? So you can say what? Total distance as what? 25r into 180 over 360. That means half. Or what? Total time is 30 seconds. 2 to cancel out. Pi means 3.14. R means 5 centimeters. If I convert centimeters to meters, 5 into the power minus 2, 30 seconds. Now here I can cut 5, then here to be 6. We are getting 3.14 over 6 minus 2. Average speed. Now, if I simplify this, 0.5, 0.52, 523 something, minus 2. Am I correct? So I will get something like this, 5.23 minus 3 ms minus 1. So raise your hands. How many of you got this answer? Any approximate answers? Raise your hands. How many of you got any approximate answer? How many? Raise your hands. There are about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many of you understood? Raise your hand. Genuinely, I understood this question. Raise your hand. I understood. Raise your hands. How many of you really understood this question? Understood. Right? Okay. Yeah, okay. Now, everyone, simple C part is homework. Do simple C part at your home. Okay, in simple C part, everyone leave a reply. After 60 seconds later, what is the displacement of the tip? Leave a reply. Only for that question. In simple C, when that tip travels 60 seconds, I am asking within 60 seconds, what is the displacement of the tip? Leave a reply. Leave a reply. What will be the displacement of the tip? Yes, 0. Very good. Now everyone start doing question number. We'll try question number 17. Question number 17. Everyone start doing question number 17. Now don't think so much about these questions, right? Because if you didn't cover the previous sections, you are not able to understand these questions, but you don't need to worry. Okay? In case that if you could not cover your previous parts in linear motion, it's completely all right. You don't need to worry. Okay? I will send the recordings. It's your responsibility to watch the recordings within before next week, because even maybe sometimes I will start vertical motion under gravity today. If not, obviously next week. Even for vertical motion under gravity, linear motion knowledge is 100% important. So therefore, if you want to catch next session, vertical motion under gravity new chapter also, you must have 100% knowledge in linear motion. So therefore, you don't need to worry. I will send the recordings. Watch all the recordings within this week as soon as possible and get ready for next week class. So today just manage it. So today I say I just say that I don't say you to leave from the session, but I say you to stay in the session and just listen the way of we are teaching and just what focus how we do the class. Just try to understand something. Obviously, you guys can understand something, right? How many of you started doing 17 hands? Started doing question number 17, raise your hands. Started doing question number 17, raise your hands. Right, okay. That's a good question. It's a good question. Vehicle starts at rest, travels in a straight line, simple distance with uniform acceleration, and then travels the next 2D distance with uniform velocity, and then travels 3D distance with uniform deceleration and comes at rest. Prove that average velocity over maximum velocity is 305. So whenever they have given a question, whatever the given data, you must what? Convert to a sketch. I always say draw a sketch. Rather than reading the question again and again, if you draw a rough sketch, you will be able to understand the important things, important data given, right? Question number 17. 17. 17. Right. Now, even you don't understand, you try to understand something. Now, question says what? It says that vehicle starts at rest. So we know initial velocity of the vehicle is zero. Initial velocity is 0 ms minus 1. Okay. Travels in a straight line, simple d distance with uniform acceleration. So they haven't given acceleration. They haven't given acceleration. But they have mentioned traveled under acceleration until simple d distance. Now they have given this gap is how much? Simple d. This simple d distance is traveled under acceleration. So I would say that acceleration is, I will say, acceleration is simple A1, simple A1. But you want to be very careful. Look at here now. Always I say that now most of you have the problem that you guys can't figure out, you guys can't understand what are the variables defined by yourself and what are the variables given in the question, right? When you do a question, it's very important to understand what variables defined by you, what variables given in the question. Now in this question, you can clearly see the only variable given is what? Simple D. Simple D is only given variable. Other than simple D, all the variables defined by you. Now right now I defined acceleration as simple A1. So all these variables are defined by myself. So understand that one. Right? After this object accelerated with simple A1 acceleration, let's say this object obtained a velocity, I say capital V. Then they mentioned that this object continues its constant velocity motion for 2 simple d distance. For 2 simple d distance. Here simple A1 capital V defined by myself, right? Then further they mentioned that then travels 3D distance with uniform deceleration, comes at rest. Then uniform deceleration. Look at it. This direction deceleration means last week I explained opposite direction acceleration. I say opposite direction acceleration as simple A2 finally reaches 0 ms minus 1. Finally object comes to rest. 0 ms minus 2. So minus 1. Right? This gap is they have given 3D. This gap is they have given 3D. Right? This question is very good question. I will guide you. I will guide you. Prove that average velocity over maximum velocity equals 3 over 5. Look at it. Everyone stop doing, look at it. I will give some hints. Based on that hint, you guys try to solve this question. Now they asked us to prove that average velocity over, you want to prove that when you divide average velocity of this entire motion by the maximum velocity. When you divide, now if you find the average velocity of this motion from, let's say, point capital A to point capital D, if you found average velocity and if you found the maximum velocity, if you divide average velocity by maximum velocity, you will end up with, you want to show that when you divide average velocity of the motion by maximum velocity, your answer must be 305. This is what you want to prove actually. This is what you want to prove. Now look at it. Now we know what is average velocity. Now we know average velocity means what? Total displacement over total time, right? Average velocity means what? We know that average velocity means, we learned average velocity means, look at it, total displacement of the motion over total time. Total displacement over total time, right? Now today the questions are somewhat complex, okay? Today the questions that we discussed, they are somewhat complex. We learned when you consider this entire motion from here to from here, if you want to find the average velocity, you want to divide total displacement by total time. Already you know the total displacement. From A to D, everyone leave a reply. From A to D, everyone leave a reply. What is the total displacement? You guys know. Leave a reply. From A to D, what is the total displacement? Leave a reply, everyone. Not 0. Everyone leave a reply. From A to D, what is the total displacement? Everyone? 6D. 6D, right? 3D, 2D, D. Total displacement from A. Initially, this vehicle is here. Finally, this vehicle is somewhere here. Therefore, total displacement is how much? 3D plus 2D plus D means 60. But what's the problem? 60 is given data because D is the variable given by them. But what we don't know? Total time. I don't know time taken to move under acceleration. I say T1. I don't know time taken to move under constant velocity from here to here. I don't know the time. I say T2. The time taken to move under deceleration also I don't. I say it's T3. Right? Now very carefully understand. Now simple D is the only given data. T1, T2, T3, A2, A1, capital V, all are defined by yourself. It's completely all right to have variables defined by yourself in the equations. In your steps, it's completely all right to have the variables defined by yourself. But finally, final answer must never include variable defined by yourself. Right? Now, if I want to find average velocity, total displacement is 6D, total time is T1 plus T2 plus T3. T1 plus T2 plus T3. Now, please tell me, this is average velocity. Someone tell me what is the maximum velocity? Leave a reply. Whatever the variables defined by myself, based on that variables, leave a reply. In this entire motion, what is the maximum velocity? Whatever the variables defined by myself, based on that, tell me what is the maximum velocity of this motion. Leave a reply. The maximum velocity. Others? Everyone? Leave a reply. See what happened to the velocity? Velocity at point A is 0. Velocity is increasing. It becomes maximum. 1 ms minus 1, 2 ms minus 1, 5 ms minus 1, 10 ms minus 1, 15 ms minus 1. Continuously maintaining that 15 ms minus 1. Decelerating means again what happens? Reduce the velocity. 14 ms minus 1, 13, 12, 10, 9, 8, 0. And then you want to understand maximum velocity means what? This capital V. Right? Maximum velocity is capital V. Okay. So maximum velocity is capital V. Now what you want to do is look at here. What you want to do is try to find T1. My advice. Now try to find T1. Very carefully listen. Try to find T1 in terms of. Try to find T1 in terms of D and V. Try to find T2 in terms of D and V. Try to find T3 in terms of D and V. Then you will get the answer. Raise your hands. How many of you understand what I told you? Now I'm not going to do. I will give 5 minutes. I will give 5 minutes. How many of you understand what I explained now? I ask you to find T1 first in terms of simple D and V. I ask you to find T2 in terms of simple D and V. T3 in terms of simple D and V. Raise your hands. How many of you understood this hint? Raise your hand. How many of you understood this hint? Raise your hand. How many of you understood? Okay. So I will give exactly the time is 8:20, 8:25. I want you, I need your workings. It's completely all right that you could not do the question, completely all right. But I want to see your attempt. I need your workings. Start doing the question. Try to prove that 305, that scenario. Start doing. Exactly 8:15, sorry, 8:25. Be humble to send your workings as a WhatsApp image. quickly. Hey, quickly. So whenever I give time, please don't waste your time. We use that time maximum. So don't waste your time. Keep on trying. Right? Now, it's very easy to find T1 in terms of what? D and simple V. We learned linear motion equations, right? We learned 4 linear motion equations. So if you need, I will write them also in this board, right? We learned 4 linear motion equations. The first linear motion equation we learned is what? V equals U plus AT. Keep on doing. So based on these linear motion equations, what I want from you is find T1, T2, T3 in terms of D and B. Then when you substitute, you will get the answer. So if there is any lagging issue, leave a reply. So if you got the answers, send your workings as a WhatsApp image, right? So once done sent, yeah, not only finding T1, T2, T3 in terms of D and V, get the final answer. Now if you found T1, T2, T3 in terms of D and V, then substitute in that equation, average velocity equation. You got it. Substitute and I need the final proof. Finally, you just show that average velocity over maximum velocity is 3 over 5. Very good. One student got it. Very good. Keep on doing. Quickly. In case if you could not do a question, please you don't panic or you don't get afraid, right? Practice in your home. Again and again the same question. Practice by yourself on again and again before you come for next session, right? That's how we improve ourselves progressively, right? The most important benefit in these online classes is you can save your time, right? You think that you work by yourself only because when you go for a physical class, you see how other students they work, right? Sometimes you can might easily distracted when some student quickly doing a question, you might get distracted. every day you get disappointment. That disappointment makes you not to do the A levels properly. But in online classes, that type of thing is no way. So therefore, get the maximum benefit from these online classes and try to grow yourself progressively. I need final answers. I need you guys to show. Prove that 3 or 5 scenario. How many of you still proving? Raise your hands. How many of you still proving? Raise your hands. How many of you still proving? Still trying the question? Raise your hand. Only 5. Only 5 still trying. No one got the answers. Now in this question, now I can do something like this. Now I need to prove something like this. I thought to consider A to B motion. I say this point is point capital B. If I consider A to B motion, constant acceleration motion. So I need to find T1 in terms of V and simple D. So I want to select a linear motion equation involving what? Involving time, involving velocity, right? I know initial velocity is 0, involving time, velocity and displacement. So I need to set an equation involving time, final velocity, initial velocity and displacement. So what is the best linear motion equation? The best linear motion equation is what? Huh? VUTD. The best linear motion equation. S equals U plus V over 2 into T, right? This is the best linear motion equation. So I can apply S equals U plus V over 2 simple T. Can you remember last week I explained always you want to apply linear motion equations in the direction of motion. Direction of motion is right side direction, therefore my arrow is in right side direction. My S displacement from A to B, that is simple D. Initial velocity U is 0. Final velocity V is, that is capital V, over 2. Time taken is simple T1. Simple T1. Right. When I subject T1, look at 0 plus V means V. When I subject T1, T1 equals what? T1 means what? 2D over capital V. I see this as equation 1. Raise your hands. How many of you got T1 as 2D over V? Hands up. How many of you got T1 as 2D over V? Raise your hands. Why I don't get a good reply from all of you? Raise your hands. Raise your hands. How many of you could not get this result? Hands up. No matter because you don't know this lesson or whatever. Even you tried, you could not get this result. Hands up. T1, you could not get this result. Okay, how many of you understood this one? Understood this one? Understood. Okay, I will give time. Okay, it's okay. I will give time. Now look at everyone start doing this question. Everyone start doing this part. B to C. Again, you want to find T2 in terms of V and D. What you want to do? If it is constant velocity motion, I explained that last day. Constant velocity motion, we apply only one equation. In constant velocity motion equations, we apply only one equation, that is S equals UT. S equals UT. Everyone try to find T2 in terms of V and D at least quickly. Quickly find everyone. If you found T2 in terms of V and D, raise your hands. Now everyone, Put your hands down. When you found T2 in terms of V and D, then raise your hand. That's basic thing. So within these 3 hours, I can discuss more questions, but the problem is now in my class, if there is 2 students, how many of I want to explain everything to understand for everyone. So that's very important. If you don't understand what I explain, that class is not effective. Even I finish the syllabus, there is no use of that if the majority students they don't understand what I'm explaining. Right? What I want from all of you is use that S equals UT equation. I want you to find T2 in terms of simple D and V. If you found T2 in terms of simple D and V, raise your hands. Now currently there are 4 students, they raise the hands. So I'm assuming remaining students, now there are 5. I'm assuming remaining students, they are trying that question. 6 raised. Just substitute that equation. When you substitute it, you will get the answer. 7 got the answers. 8. 8 students. Right? Okay. Now I'll start explaining. So likewise, just start doing C to D. Apply same equation. Again, consider C to D motion and try to find T3 in terms of V and simple D by using same equation. Now I will explain this part. S means what? V to C displacement, that is 2 simple D. That is 2 simple D. Velocity means capital V, constant velocity, capital V. Time taken is we know it's T2. So when I subject T2, I can write on T2 as what? T2 means 2D over capital V. If I consider C to D motion, if I consider today questions are very difficult. Today the last day, I won't do again this linear motion questions. Except past papers, I won't do questions again. C to D, again same equation. Because I want to find T in terms of D and V. So I know final velocity, I know initial velocity, displacement, time. This is the best equation. S equals U plus V over 2 into simple T. What is my S? My S is 3D. My S is my 3D. Initial velocity is capital V. Final velocity is 0 over 2. Time taken is T3. Time taken is T3. So when I subject T3, I will obtain my T3 as what? 3D into 2, 6D OV. 6D OV. Equation 2, equation 3. Right? How many of you got T1, T2, T3 answer? How many of you got T1, T2, T3 answer? Raise your hands. We always apply linear motion equations in the direction of motion. Object is moving right direction. You got it. Right side direction. Okay. Now hereafter it's easy. Substitute T1, T2, T3 values. Get the answer. Now look at it. Now average velocity. Okay. Now I erase this. I erase this side. Then I can easily get the answer. If you got the answers, raise your hands. If you got this final result, raise your hand. If you got this final result, raise your hands. Now easy. Now I know average velocity or maximum velocity. Right? Average velocity is how much? Average velocity, I know how much? 60 over. What's my T1? 60 over T1 plus T2 plus T3 in average velocity. Now I know my T1. From equation 1, 2, and 3, I can say what? From 1, 2, and 3, I can say my average velocity as what? 6d over. What's my T1? T1 is 2 dov plus what's my T2? My T2 means again what? 2 dov. What's my T3? T3 means how much? 6d over v. Right. 6d over v. Average velocity. Now I can simplify this one further. Look at it. Average velocity means 6d over, I can take dov as my common factor, right? dov, 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 all these three terms have dov. So I can take dov as my common factor. If I take dov as my common factor, 2 is remaining, 2 is remaining, 6 is remaining, right? And then what happens? Look at it. And then you can see this capital V will be moving to numerator. What will happen with the simple d? Simple d cancel out. So all your knowledge. Then I can say average velocity means what? Capital V over, sorry, 6V over. This V will go in numerator. 6V over 10. Right? That's it. So you want to obtain average velocity or maximum velocity? What is the maximum velocity? Maximum velocity is capital V. I see this simply, simple B. So if you divide average velocity by maximum velocity now, if you divide simple A by B, average velocity over maximum velocity, you'll obtain what? 6V over 10V. V cancel out. 6 over 10 means how much? 3 over 5. Got it. Genuinely hands up. Genuinely hands up. How many of you guys understood this one? Understood. I understood actually. Sometimes you could not do this question. That's completely all right. How many of you understood actually? I understood. Understood. I understood. Copy down quickly. Copy down this one quickly. Today we are going to finish this linear motion. Okay. I think I discussed plenty of enough questions, but today I will discuss more questions and I will finish this chapter entirely. Right? Write down quickly. How did I get that 10? 10 means what? 2 plus 2 plus 6. 8 plus 2, 10. Now, any problem regarding this simplification? It's easy, right? This is what? 6D. 6D what? 6D over here. 6 plus 2 plus 2 means 10. 10D over V. All your knowledge. 6D division 10D over V. Division will become multiplication when you take the reciprocal. V over 10D. 10D over V means multiplication. V over 10D. DD cancel out. I will getting what? 3 over 5V. If I divide by V, 3 over 5. It's all knowledge. When someone finished that question, right, you guys can start. Now, okay, now we started this 24 batch exactly in July, right? In July. July class was entirely conducted freely. Then exactly we started the classes in this August, in August. Then next week we are reaching September. There are some changes in September classes. Look at it. I want to tell this one as well. Now I'm a bit serious. Now you know that with the time, the way that we conduct the class, it changes actually, right? So most of the classes they started in June, but I could not start the class in June. I started in July. Entirely conducted freely. So then you know that. So some sort of promotion, because to get to know about ourselves, I did this class freely. So then I can't go with the right speed. Intentionally, I want to make my speed low, right? So therefore, July class was not conducted in exact way that I do my classes. Exactly, I started the classes in this August, right? 1 month has gone. Students who would like to continue with me, they will continue with me. That's enough. September, the plan is now. Usually, allocated time for this class is 3 hours. But you know that this 3 hours is not enough to do questions and theory and everything. So from September, I am increasing class duration to 3.5 hours. Even though we say we start the class at 7 p.m. Sometimes we take 7:15. Normally we start the class at 7:15. Normally, right? When there are some technical issues, we might start at 7:20, 25, sometimes even 7:30. But I never went beyond this 7:30. However, I started all the classes before 7:30 for last few weeks, right? Whatever the time that I start the class, since that time, we are doing 3.5 hours from September. Okay, from next week. Next week onwards, sometimes if I start exactly at 7 p.m., we are finishing the class at 10:30, right? Likewise, in case if we started our classes at 7:30, we will finish at 11 p.m. And also, I want to say that now, look at here. I'm developing a software, right? Not myself. One of my friend he is doing. So now there's a solution for this recording, right? Sorry. Usually I don't provide recordings. Usually I don't provide recordings, but if you request me, I will provide, right? So coming days, so there will be a software that an app, right? So we are developing an app that is for mobile phone. So you guys will have access to use that app. If you use that app, all the recordings will be in that app. So I will separately give what login names and password. Then you can't anyone can't access with different mobile phones also. That app will work only for one number, right? So I will tell you more information regarding this app. Then through that app, all the recordings from first to last day is in that app. So whenever you need, you can go through it and you can watch the recordings again and again, right? So there's a plan. Then the solution for recordings also there will be solution, right? So now these few 2 3 weeks just sometimes it's very difficult. It's very difficult now. Even you request some recording sometimes. Sometimes what happens, I could not what record it. So then that type of issue also there, right? So coming days, I try my maximum to do everything with my best. September onwards will work more properly. With the time, we are really getting into a serious business. Other thing, right? Okay. When someone finished doing this question, so they can start. Uh, right. Start doing. Right. 7 and discussed. We tried question number 14 also on that day, right? We tried 14 as well. Uh, right. A good question. Everyone start doing question number 26. That's a very good question. Start doing question number 26. That's a very good question. It's really, it's a good question. It's a standard good question. Start trying question number uh, 26. 26. Because I told you that now one student has asked how you got V as maximum. Because I explained that the maximum velocity is V. I explained before now. Think about initially it's accelerating. From zero velocity, object is accelerating. Then what will happen for the velocity? Velocity is increasing, right? Velocity is increasing, increasing, and it will reach a maximum velocity. Then that reached maximum velocity continues for small time period. Then that maximum velocity decreases due to deceleration. So therefore, that maximum velocity is capital V. That I explained. Okay. How many of you started doing question number 26 answer? We'll take a break at 9 p.m. How many of you started doing question number 26? Raise your hands. Even you, it's completely all right. Just give your maximum effort, right? No matter you can do this question or you can't. I always say that just try it. After I explain, try to understand your best. Then as soon as today class finished, redo the question again. Then send me. Until you come for the next session, keep on practicing these questions. Find very similar questions or past paper questions or whatever. Do again and again and familiar with these patterns. That's a good question. A man suddenly observed that an object is moving with a constant acceleration. It traveled 500 meters within 10 seconds, and the very next 10 seconds it moved 700 meters. If the object started moving from rest, what is the time and distance taken by the object from rest until man's first observation? So I think that it's very difficult to understand what they are asking. Just try it. Just give a small try. Then I will also explain. Just give a small try. First of all, whatever the data they have given, what? Make a sketch and include in that sketch. That's very important. Right. If I help you, man suddenly observed that an object is moving with a constant acceleration. It traveled 500 meter within 10 seconds, and the very next 10 seconds it moved 700 meters. If the object started moving from rest, what is the time and distance taken by the object from rest until man's very first observation? Look at it. Now let's think about, now there's a person, right? That person is drinking a coffee in a coffee shop. Right, there is a mirror. Near to that mirror, he's sitting in a chair and he is drinking coffee. He was talking. Let's say he's talking with someone else. His entire concentration is towards another person. In his mirror, he can see everything outside, but currently his focus is about that person. That person is talking, this one is talking, right? When they are talking, what happens outside the window? There's a vehicle. That vehicle started, but he didn't notice that actually. There's a vehicle. There's a train or whatever. Ne? There's a vehicle that started to move actually, but he didn't notice that because he's talking with this person, right? When the moment he just suddenly he turn it right now, while that person is talking with this person, vehicle is already started to move. When the moment suddenly when he sees the vehicle, when he sees the vehicle, from that observation, from that instant, within 10 seconds, this person observes that vehicle is moving 500 meters. And next 10 seconds, this person is observing that vehicle is moving 700 seconds. Look at it. 700 meters. Look at it. Look at it. Very carefully listen. It's very important. Today questions are somewhat complex, but when you practice these questions, it will be normal. Question number 26. Look at it very carefully. It's very important question. Very carefully listen. Right. Now, when that person is talking with that other person, that vehicle is already started moving. Right. Already started moving. This vehicle is already started moving under constant acceleration. Initial velocity of this vehicle is 0, m is minus 1. This vehicle is keep on accelerating under constant acceleration. So we don't know the acceleration actually, but this vehicle is keep on accelerating. I don't have acceleration, therefore I say acceleration simply, right? When t equals 0, object start to move. When the moment object started to move, that person is talking with another person, right? Suddenly, when he observed this vehicle, suddenly, when he is observing that vehicle, from his first observation, let's say, when the vehicle is somewhere here, when vehicle came somewhere here, this person observes the vehicle at first. This person observed this vehicle. This person observed this vehicle exactly at this location. From this location to within 10 seconds, this vehicle is traveling 500 meters. From the moment that this person sees this vehicle, within 10 seconds, this vehicle moves 500 meters. Very careful listen. Very careful listen. Within 10 seconds, this vehicle moves 500 meters. The next 10 seconds, this vehicle is moving 700 seconds. $700. Now, raise your hands. How many of you understand what I explained right now? Raise your hands. How many of you understand what I explained right now? Very careful listen again. Object, this vehicle already started to move from rest. This object is moving under constant acceleration. Acceleration is simply, I don't know the acceleration. They haven't given. Very first time, the person observes the vehicle exactly here. From this observation, the next 10 seconds, vehicle moves 500 meters. The next 10 seconds, vehicle moves 700 meters. That's the idea. But you want to understand entire motion, this vehicle is accelerating it simply. What we want to find? Now we want to find what? We want to find question they are asking. Uh, what is the time and distance taken by the object from rest until man's very first observation? So this is man's very first observation, right? Man's very first observation. Very first observation. So they are asking What is the time taken by the vehicle from rest to very first observation? You want to find this time and this displacement capital is. What you want to find? You want to find this time and displacement. Time taken for this vehicle to move from here to here. From rest to very first observation, man's. That time and displacement from rest to the very first observation. Capital is your goal. How many of you understood this question very clear? Understood? Raise your hands. Understood. Okay. Now how will this one? Now my target is finding T and S. How do I find T and S? I know U is. When I consider, I can say this point is point capital A. I can say this point is point capital B. This point is point capital C, point capital D. Right? Now somehow you need to solve this question by using linear motion equations. Right? Somehow you need to solve this question using linear motion equations. V equals U plus AT. S equals UT plus half AT squared. Very careful, listen, we'll take a break. V squared equals U squared plus 2 is, we'll take a break after we finish this question. S equals U plus V over 2 into simple T. Right? But your target is finding T and S. How do you find this one? How do you find this one? Right? How many of you trying this question answer? How many of you trying this question? Keep on trying. But when you now this time understand, you need to take, you want to consider, you want to apply linear motion equations many times. And you need to take many equations to solve this question. This question is very good question. It's a very standard question, right? So you need to take more linear motion equations. But understand, when you take linear motion equations, always ensure, always make sure that your selected linear motion equations include minimum number of variables, right? When you select motion, the very critical, there are two critical points. Okay, stop doing, look at it. Stop doing, look at it. Stop, look at it. Stop doing. In order to go for a final answer, there are two important points. Questions like this, one important thing is, what is the linear motion equation that you are going to select? Right? There are four linear motion equations. What linear motion equation you are going to select? Based on your linear motion equation, question can be easily simplified. If not, question can become very complex. Right? The first important point is, what is the linear motion equation you are going to select? Second important point is, exactly from where to where you are going to apply that linear motion equation. For an example, let's say one student selected V equals U plus Z equation. One student selected V equals U plus Z equation. Right? Somehow he selected. Based on exactly from where to where he is applying this equation, one can apply A to B motion. One can apply A to C motion V equals U plus AT. One can apply B to D motion V equals U plus AT. Based on from where to where you are applying, that is also makes your question very simple, if not very complex. So therefore, I know that in this class there are around 11. I know that even these 11 students, they can't exactly figure out what equation I need to take exactly from where to where I want to apply, because this comes with the practice. If you can directly, nice, Harsha, it's a good question. If you can quickly tell that, say, I want to apply this equation from here to here and from here to here, take two equations, simultaneous equations, solve this, then you are such a brilliant student, right? Even when I was doing my A levels, I also could not get this answer, right? Any idea? Any idea? Just right. Exactly, we'll take a break now. As soon as we finish this question, we'll take a break. Until that, keep your focus. Don't make yourself lose. Keep your focus. Anyone almost got the answers? Almost going to get the answer, raise your hand. I almost going to get the answers. There are many. Wow. Almost going to get the answers. Very good. Very good. Right. Now, look at it. Look at it. Now we can do something like this. Now one can consider A to C motion, right? One can consider A to C motion and A to D motion. Because look at here, they have given time and displacement. They have given time and displacement. Somehow your selected linear motion equation must include time and displacement. S and T must be there in your selected linear motion equation, right? Whatever the linear motion equation you select, S and T must be there, right? Okay. And also, if someone selected A to C motion and A to D motion, it would be better to have U also, right? U also. Think wisely. Select the best equation. Select the best equation. I will give some time. Anyone finish this question? Raise your hands. Anyone finish this question? Raise your hands. Time is exactly 9:05. If you got the answer, send your answer as a WhatsApp message. If you got the answer, send the answer as a WhatsApp message. Okay, we'll take a break. We'll take a break. Now time is exactly 9:05. Come exactly at 9:15. I will give 10 minutes. Come exactly at 9:15. That means, okay, now time is come exactly at 9:16. If I ask you to come at 9:16, please don't come exactly 9:16. Come at 9:15 or 9:14. I explain why. Come exactly at 9:16. Take a break and come. Take a break. Yes. Right, okay. Just leave a reply if you can hear me speaking. Leave a reply. Just leave a reply. Right, okay. Now understand, there are different ways of doing this question, right? Now, I told you there are two critical points you want to consider. Now, in such questions, you can clearly understand this type of question by taking only one linear motion equation, you are not able to simplify, you are not able to solve the answers, right? So therefore, in these type of questions, you want to understand, you need to obtain 2 3 linear motion equations. Then you want to go with simultaneous equations 1 and 2. Then you want to simplify the simultaneous equations. You learned in all levels what is simultaneous equations. But there are two critical points you want to understand. The first critical point is, what is the best possible equation? Always understand, when you're selecting a linear motion equation, there are two critical points. The first critical point is, what is the best linear motion equation? What did I mean by best linear motion equation? Your selected linear motion equation must include minimum number of unknowns, minimum number of variables. Suppose in your selected linear motion equation involves many variables, then obviously your simplification become very mess, right? That's why I'm telling, main critical point is what linear motion equation you are going to select. I will explain that one. Okay, look at it. Now, the next critical point is, from where to where you are going to apply linear motion equation. Whether from A to point B U. If you are going to apply from B to C U, B to D U. Based on the point from where to where you are going to apply the linear motion equation, your simplification will become easy if not complex. So you want to understand that one. Now look at it. Now I am not doing this question actually, I'm explaining, right? I don't take so much time to do this question, but I am explaining the logic behind this question. How you want to think, right? So therefore it takes some time, that's completely all right, as you are in beginning level, right? I'm not doing this question. And also you might have seen all the time I wanted to get the answers from you actually. So therefore understand me and work it, right? Now, how is this one? Now, how I am thinking as a student, how I think this question. Now I am thinking they have given times and somehow given data must obviously use. So they have given time and displacements. From B to C, time taken is 10 seconds, C to D 10 seconds, B to C 500 meters, 700 meters. I know that somehow your selected linear motion equations obviously must include time and displacement, right? That's how I'm going to approach to the right equation. Do you understand? Now I'm thinking, they have given time as data, displacement as data. In my selected equation, time and displacement must be there. I can easily cancel out this equation, right? Why? This equation, there is time, but there is no displacement. Okay. So I thought of cancel this equation because why? This equation is not involving displacement. My selected equation must include time and displacement both. I can remove this one and also I can remove this one as well. Do you understand? I can remove these two equations. These two equations. Why? This equation is involving displacement but not involving time, right? Right? That's why I just removed these two linear motion equations. Now then I'm obtaining two possible equations. S equals ut plus half at squared involving s and time. This equation also involving s and displacement and time, right? Now still now hereafter. Now there are two possible equations. Now I have no idea exactly what equation I want to select. I have no idea whether going with s equals ut plus half at squared or if not going with s equals u plus v over 2 into t. Now next I am thinking from where to where I'm going to apply, right? From where to where I'm going to apply. It's always better because you know initial velocity has zero. You understand? Exactly at point capital A, you know u is 0. Now tell me, right? Exactly at point capital A, u is 0. Now someone please tell me, it's better to start from point capital A, right? It's better to start from point capital A to point capital B, A to C, A to D. I don't know exactly up to what point, but I can exactly tell it's better to start from point capital A. No matter out of these two linear motion equations, it's better to apply these two linear motion equations from A to someone else, A to some point else. So I am going to select now. Still, I haven't decided what is the best linear motion equation. I haven't decided. But I know it would be better if I start the motion from point capital A. Right? Now, if I consider point capital A to C and point capital A to D motions, look at, if I consider point capital A to C motion and point capital A to D motion, right? Very carefully listen. Now I am selecting point capital A to C motion, point capital A to D motion. I say this equation as equation 1, this one is equation 2. Now tell me what is the best equation. If I select, if I'm going to apply one of the linear motion equations, A to C and A to D, what is the best linear motion equation? Option 1 or option 2? Leave a reply. Leave a reply. What is the best option? How many of you raise your hands? How many of you say best is option number 1? Hands. Raise your hands. How many of you say best option is option number 1? Raise your hands. When you apply the equation A to C and A to D, raise your hands. How many of you say best one is option 1? Hands. Option 2, raise your hands. Option 2, raise your hands. Why option 2 many? I'm wondering. The problem is what? Look at it. If I say, okay, now majority says that option 2 is best. Okay, we'll try it. I didn't say option 2 is the right one. We'll try it. If you apply from A to C this equation, we'll face the problem. S means what? A to C total displacement S plus 500, right? Now you applied that equation. Okay, look at. I didn't say this is the right equation. S equals U plus V over 2 simple T. Right? S is how much? S plus 500. S plus 500. What is your U? U is 0. What's my V? If I consider A to C, V means final velocity at C. I don't know. I don't know this VC. I don't know that VC. I want to find S and T. Already there are two variables I don't know. Now I don't know VC. Look at here. Over 2 time. Time is what? T plus 10. T, time taken to move from A to C is T plus 10 seconds, right? T plus 10. Right? Then in this equation, there are 3 unknowns. Right? It's not easy to simplify as you think. You got it? Now, we are going to take 2 linear motion equations, but this is not a good selection. But if I select this equation, we'll check, look at it. If I select this equation, we'll check, look at it. If I select, that's the thing. It's very difficult to select what is the best equation. I know that this is a bit difficult question. Even in your exams, they don't ask exactly this level of question. They never asked up to now. Very basic substitution questions they asked in MCQs as well as essay paper. But why we do these questions? To improve the way that you think, improve your logical thinking, improve your mathematical simplification skills. That's why we are doing these questions, right? If I use this equation, look at it. A to C. S equals ut plus half at squared. Look at it. What is my S? A to C total displacement. Total displacement from A to C is S plus 500. S plus 500. S plus 500 equals, what is my U? My U, initial velocity. A to C motion. U means initial velocity at age 0. This entire term will become 0. Right? 0. This entire term will become, because U is 0. 0 in time in 0. Half. Acceleration again, I don't know, but here's something different thing happening. Acceleration, I don't know. The time t plus 10. The time is t plus 10. Right? Time is t plus 10. T plus 10. Right? T plus 10. This is now, here is also there's a problem. There are three unknowns. Look at it. There are three unknowns. I should say equation 1. Equation 1. If I consider A to D motion, look at it. If I consider A to D motion, look at it. A to D motion total displacement is how much? S plus 500 plus 700. That means S plus how much? S plus 1200. Look at it. S plus 1200. U is 0. U is 0. Ut is 0. Half. Acceleration also I don't know. Acceleration also I don't know. Time means t plus 20. Time means t plus 20. Time means t plus 20. Equation 2. Now tell me someone wisely, can we continue this question? Raise your hand. Can we solve this question? Now I told that. Very carefully listen. Now I am explaining this idea. Very critical. There are two critical points are there. One is what linear motion equation you are selecting. Other one is applying from where to where. Based on that, what happens? You will get the answer. If not, you won't get the answer. Now, if I get these two equations, how many of you say that there are three unknowns? S I don't know, simple A I don't know, T I don't know, right? How many of you, okay, we'll see. How many of you think that we can find the answer? Raise your hands. How many of you think that we can find the answer? Okay, wait, 2 is in the waiting room. Okay. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Right. Now there are three unknowns. We can't find this. Why? Even you go with any operation, we can't find it. Right? When you subtract 1 from 2 also, S terms will get cancelled out. 80 terms will get cancelled out. So you can't find this. You got it? Right? Wait a minute. Give me 1 minute. Give me a minute. So look at it. So I told you that exactly from where to where you apply also problem, right? So therefore I say that this is not a best approach. But look at here, suppose if you apply from B to C and B to D motions, look at it this time. Look at this time. Now forget about these two equations. Now why we can't go with these two equations? We don't know S, we don't know V, we don't know D. There are three unknowns in two equations. So therefore it's difficult to find the answers. So therefore I am what? I just cut this because I can't get the final answer because there are three unknowns involved. So what if I apply linear motion equation from B to C and B to D motion? From B to C. Let's say this velocity is, I say, velocity at point capital B is, I say, V. From B to C and B to D, I am selecting a linear motion equation involving time and displacement, obviously. Velocity, initial velocity and, look at it, initial velocity and acceleration simply. So S equals ut plus half at squared, right? If I apply the same equation from B to C, if I apply, now finished, now I am finishing, okay? Look at it. S equals ut plus half at squared. S is how much? B to C, displacement is 500. My initial velocity, velocity at point capital B, that's V defined by myself. Time taken is how much? 10 seconds. Time taken is 10 seconds. Half. Acceleration is simple A, I don't know. Simple A. Time taken is 10 seconds, 10 squared. 10 squared. Now look at it. Now, when you consider A to C and A to D, when you apply S equals to D plus half A T squared, there are three unknowns in each equation. SAT, SAT. But if you apply from B to C and B to D, you will understand there are only two variables in equation. If in an equation, if you have two variables, if you can take another equation, if you have two equations and two unknowns, we can find the answers. Raise your hands. How many of you understood what I'm saying? Genuinely raise your hands. How many of you understood what I'm saying? Therefore, understand with your now knowledge, you can't exactly predict what equation you want to apply. Exactly from where to where you want to apply, you can't predict actually. Sometimes you think this is the best equation and you do it. Then you realize there are more variables involving. There are three variables involving. Then you decide to cut. That's completely all right. That's how you practice. Cut entire thing. Again consider separate idea. Think separately. Apply from different location to location. Best equation. This is how we are practicing. Now you can do. Then I can simplify somewhat. Look at it. Then I can say, right, 500 equals how much? 500 equals. Now I can get the answer. 10V 100 over 2 means 50. 58. 58. So don't miss any single second. Every second is important. 0, 0, 0 cancel out. Then I will obtain one equation as pi A. Pi A plus capital V. Pi A plus capital V equals what? Pi A plus capital V equals 50, equation 1. Likewise, if I consider B to D motion, if I apply same equation, S equals ut plus half at square. S equals ut plus half at square. Look at it. B to D. Total displacement 500 plus 700. 1200. 1200. Velocity at B is V. V. Time is how much? B to D. Time is 20 seconds. B to D time is 20 seconds. Half. Acceleration I don't know. Simple A. Time is 20 seconds. 20 square means how much? 400. Then I will obtain what? I will obtain. Here it's 200. If I divide by 20. If I divide by 20, if I cut all the zeros, And if I divide by 20, I will obtain what? If I divide by 2, 600 equals what? If I divide by 2, 600 equals V plus 10A. V plus 10A. Right? Yeah, 20. 20 means, yeah. If I cut all these, if I divide by 2, that's 20. Yeah. Then I can say that 10A plus V equals 600. Then I can say 10A plus V equals 10A plus V equals how much? 600. Equation 2. Genuinely hands up, how many of you understand up to these two equations? How many of you understand how I got these two equations? Raise your hands. How many of you understand these two equations? Raise your hands quickly. Quickly raise your hands if you understand. Quickly raise your hands. Okay. Then easy. Look at it. Then we can find. I want to find S and T. Look at it. Now phi A plus V is how much? Phi A plus V is how much? 50. Equation 1. Na plus V. That is how much? 600. Simultaneous equations. I can find A and V. If I subtract 2 minus 1, what will happen? If I subtract 2 minus 1, V cancel out. 10A minus 5A. 10A minus 5A. V cancel out. 600 minus 50. I'm getting how much? Again, 5A equals what? 550. A means how much? 110. Right? M is minus 2. I got my A value. Am I correct? How many of you got this answer? How many of you got this answer? Anyone? Then if you find my A is 110, if I did anything wrong, let me know, right? Leave a reply. If I did anything wrong, then if I want to find V, I take equation 1. I take equation 1. Did I do any mistake? Anything wrong? Right. B to C is 1200. Time taken is U20. Acceleration 20 squared 400. There is 200. Right? 20 is there. Is 10A. Yeah, it's correct, right? It's correct. Then I'm getting, but there's a mistake. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. There's a small mistake. B to C 500. Time is 10. Vt half acceleration t square means 10 square. 100. Here it's 50 A 10V 500. Then I will get 5A plus V equals 50. That's correct. 1200. My U is how much? V time is 20. 20V half A time is how much again? 20 squared 400. Then 400 means if I divide here it's there's a wrong. Here 1200 20 seconds half 400 400. If I divide by here, if I divide to, it's 200. If I divide everything by 20, 10A V. If I divide by 20, 20 means I'm getting 60. I'm getting 60. My bad, 60. 60, 60, 60. Then okay. Then acceleration is 2 m minus 2. Then if I want to find v, velocity at here v, from equation 1 I can say what? Phi, acceleration I found as 2, acceleration I found as 2. I want to find velocity means v equals 15. Then I know 10, velocity means how much? 40 ms minus 1. Right? How many of you understood up to here? Raise your hands. Up to here, everything is very clear. Raise your hands. How many of you really understood up to here? Raise your hands. Raise your hands. Now, what I want from you is I found A and V. But you want to find S and T, right? You want to find displacement from A to B S, this time taken from A to B T. I help you, you know U is 0. I found A as 2 ms minus 2. I found V as 40 ms minus 1. How many of you can find now T and S answer? How many of you can find now T and S? Raise your hands. How many of you can find T and S? Raise your hands. Now find T and S quickly. Quickly. If you got the answers, put in the chat box. Yeah, I made a mistake. That's 660, right? It's 660. Now everyone quickly find T and S. Anyone can do that one now. You copy it as soon as possible. Then find the answers. How many of you finish this question answer? Finished in this question, raise your hands. Raise your hands. How many of you finished this question? There are two people finished. Very good. Very good. So we are doing until 10:30, if not 10:20, maybe 10:15, maximum 10:15. If not 10:30, I don't know. When someone finish that question, everyone start try. The people who finish that question, you guys can try question number. Today we are discussing difficult questions actually. It's difficult actually. 24. Start trying 24. People who finish this question, start trying 24. People still doing this question, find simple T and simple S. Send the answers to me quickly. Quickly. Send the answers to me. How many of you found T hands? Raise your hands. How many of you found simple T hands up? Time found? There are only 4, 5. Now just consider A to B motion. Just apply linear motion equations. Right now you know, right? A to B, you know acceleration is 2. You know final velocity is 40. If you want to find time and displacement, easy. Now you can apply it. Right, best equation. If you want to find time, let's say now you know initial velocity, you know final velocity, you know acceleration. If you want to find time, what is the best equation? Consider A to B motion. What is the best equation? If you want to find the time, you know U, you know V, you know A. If you want to find time, V equals U plus 80, right? V equals U plus 80. That's a good question. It's a good question now. What's my V? Final velocities I found as 40. I found as 40. My initial velocity is 0. Acceleration I found as how much? 2. I want to find simple t. Time is how much? T equals 20 seconds. T equals 20 seconds. How many of you got 20 seconds answer? 20 seconds got the answer. Raise your hands. Very good. Now, if I want to find S, we can use many equations. Now, you know time as well. Now, you know time as well. If you want to find S, you can select any linear motion equations involving S. Because you know u, v, a, t, you can select any linear motion equation involving S. I thought of take S equals ut plus half at squared. If I take S equals ut plus half at squared, I want to find S. My u is 0. Initial velocity is 0. This entire ut term is 0. Half. Acceleration is 2. Time is how much? Time is 20 squared. 20 squared. 2 to cancel out. S is how much? 400 meters. How many of you got 400 meters answer? 400 meters. Very good. Now I say that as soon as class finished, I will finish at maximum 10:30. I don't go beyond 10:30. As soon as class finished, redo these questions again and send me as a PDF. Every day, no matter I say this so I don't say, it's your responsibility. If you want to go for A pass, A result, follow what I say. As soon as class finished, put all your tiredness away, redo these questions and redo it once again, show me and sleep. Then question number 24. Now we are discussing all the difficult questions. I could not find a time to discuss past paper questions with you. On exactly in this September, I will conduct additional class sessions to do the past paper MCQs, right? Not in the theory class time. I will separately take one additional class time and I will discuss past paper questions. I promised I will discuss past paper MCQs in units and dimension. I could not provide that tute as well. Past paper question tute as well. Coming days I will provide obviously, and I will discuss all the past paper MCQs in that unit and dimensions and this linear motion part. But give me some time, right? Give me some time. I will do it. Right? Okay. I ask you to do question number 20. What? Question number 24. Is that 24? Yes, it's 24. 24. How many of you started doing 24 hands? Started doing 24, raise your hands. Started doing. Right, okay. Now, different questions are having different concepts, right? Sometimes most of your students are not familiar with this logical thinking, right? I know that. So, but get an experience. Everything comes with the experience. When the very first day, when you see a question, you feel it's very hard. But with the time, when you are practicing, one day you will realize that whatever you felt hard before are not actually their hard. So therefore, every day keep on practicing. This 24 says what? It says that particle moves with a constant acceleration from A to B, V1, V2 are velocities at capital A and capital B respectively. If capital C is the middle point of the path, find the velocity at C in terms of V1 and V2. Right? In terms of V1 and V2. Now you want to get velocity at the middle point only in terms of V1 and V2, right? Now, right, look at it. Now, this is also a very beautiful question. It's a very nice question. It's a nice question. It's a nice question. So, some math skills, math knowledge is important, right? If you guys don't know how to use log simplification, if you guys have any troubles regarding this simplification, leave a reply. We'll conduct additional sessions for that. Okay. Look at it. Question number 24, right? 24. It's also a good question, right? Now we are doing practicals for 24 batch. You need two practicals, but still 25 batch students not yet covered anything in unit 2. So therefore, in case if you want to cover this unit 2 practicals, I don't think you guys want. In case if you want to cover unit 2 practicals, we are doing unit 2 tomorrow at Shakthi Institute. You can come on tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Right, okay. Right, now look at it. Point A at the middle point, point B. This is point capital A. This is point capital C, middle point. This is point capital B. Now, what they mentioned that in the question, particle moves with a constant acceleration from A to B. Particle moves under constant acceleration, but they haven't given the acceleration. So I say acceleration as simple A. Okay, they haven't given acceleration, so I mentioned acceleration as simple A. V1, V2 velocities A and B respectively, but they have given velocity. Velocity at point A is V1. Velocity at point B is V2. Now you must have a sense. If this particle is accelerating, its velocity is gradually increasing. Then V2 is larger than V1, right? Accelerating. So velocity is gradually increasing. V2 is larger than V1. So common sense, right? What we want to find? We want to find the velocity at point C. I want to find velocity at point C in terms of what? In terms of V1 and V2. That's my goal actually. Given variable, given data, V1, V2. Already you defined simple A, VC. You want to find VC only in terms of V1, V2. But you can define any number of variables because they have mentioned this is a middle point. So therefore, it would be better if you involve displacement as well because middle point means it's a special data. If they mention points is a middle point special data. So therefore, if we say total displacement as capital S, look at it. If we say total displacement as capital S, right? Total displacement as capital S, A to B total displacement as capital S. Tell me what is the displacement from A to C? Displacement from A to C is how much? S over 2. Displacement from C to B is how much? S over 2. Am I correct? Because they have given C is a middle point. Then it's a very important point. Middle point means how much? If the total displacement from A to B is capital S, displacement from A to B, A to C and B to C is S over 2. That's important. Then right now, how many variables are defined? I defined capital S defined, acceleration simple A defined, and velocity I want to find VC defined by myself. All these red color variables are defined by myself. What is the given variable in the question? V1, V2. I want to find VC in terms of V1, V2. Again, that's the thing. There are two critical points. First thing is what is the best linear motion equation? Next important thing is exactly from where to where you are going to apply. Now, in here, you want to understand, even you consider A to C motion and A to B motion, whatever, velocities are coming to play. Displacement must be in your equation, right? S must be there, displacement must be there, acceleration also must be there. Then when you think, what is the best linear motion equation? What is the best linear motion equation? V squared U squared 2As. If I consider, okay, I will guide like this. Look at it. There are plenty of equations. I say that like this. Consider A to C motion and consider A to B motion. If I ask you to consider A to C motion and A to B motion, what is the best linear motion equation? Anyone? If I ask you to consider A to C motion and A to B motion, what is the best linear motion equation? When you consider A to C motion, somehow in my equations there must be VC, right? Because I want to find VC. Somehow V1, V2 must be there. A to C means V1 must be there. Somehow my linear motion equation must include displacement S. This is over 2. Right? Then initial velocity, final velocity, displacement. And one more, acceleration. Best equation is what? V squared equals U squared plus 2As. The best equation is V squared equals U squared plus 2As. For A to B also, the best equation is V squared equals U squared plus 2As. Suddenly you don't get this idea, but with the practice you will get it. How many of you understand? How many of you understand how I got this equation roughly? Hands, raise your hands. How many of you understand how I got this equation roughly? Now, okay. Now keep on doing. The difficult part in this question is, difficult part in linear motion equations is exactly from where to where you want to apply, what equation you want to apply. So I guided where to where you want to apply, what equation you want to apply, I guided now. Now you do the rest. You do the rest. Do the rest. You do the rest. Then when you consider A to C, final velocity is VC. Do the rest. Keep on doing. How many of you really trying answer? If majority tries, then I can give some time. If majority is not trying, then I don't need to waste the time. Raise your hands. How many of you trying hands? Every time asking you to raise your hand make you tired, but no worries because that's how we want to bring you our interaction. Raise your hands. How many of you trying hands? Genuinely trying? Really trying? Raise your hands. Trying. We'll see how many of you trying. Raise your hands. Keep on raising your hands. 9 trying. Okay. So I will give few more minutes. Yeah, keep on doing. Now today will be the last day that I will discuss linear motion questions. Then I will stop it. So if you need answers for remaining two questions, I will send a what? My workings. I will send my workings. Okay. If you request, I will send the workings, an answer sheet. This number of questions very enough because we discussed plenty of questions. That's entirely enough to understand this entire lesson. Now from September onwards, we are going with somewhat big hurry, right? I say that if you have any friends, if you feel that we are good, recommend us, right? If your friend is seeking for online class, if you feel that your current online class is good, recommend us, right? Okay. So I'll also do with you. So VC scared. If I consider A to C motion, final velocity is VC scared. U means V1 scared. U means V1 scared plus 2. Acceleration is simply, I don't know acceleration simply. Displacement is S over 2. I don't know S also. S over 2. So I say this as my equation here. 2 to cancel out. Then I can say something like this. I can write down VC squared equals, look at it, V1 squared plus AS. Think about this AS, right? Now sometimes some people are giving there are three unknowns in this equation. Yes, it seems like there are three unknowns VC, A and S. But what if you think AS as a one unknown? Then there are two unknowns. Okay, you will understand later. Why what I'm telling you will understand later. Equation 1. Likewise, if I consider A to B motion, final velocity is V2. A to B, velocity at B is V2, V2 squared, V2 squared. Initial velocity U is how much? Velocity at point capital A is how much? V1. V1 squared plus 2. Acceleration is A. Total displacement from A to B. Total displacement is S over 2 plus S over 2 means S. Is. Right? Okay. This is our equation 2. Now very easy. Now different operations are possible here. Look at it. Now different operations are possible here. One can multiply equation 1 by 2 and one can subtract from this equation 2. If not, one can do something like this. Okay, hands up. How many of you got equation 1 and 2? Raise your hands. How many of you obtained equation 1 and 2? Raise your hands. The people who raised, you got these two equations raised. Yes. How many of you understand up to here? Raise your hands. Understood up to here? Raise your hands. The people, how many of you understand what I explained up to now? Okay. Now look at here. Now there are different ways. Okay, I will go with first option. The first option, there are different methods. First method, what can I do? I can bring V1 squared left side. I can bring in my equation to V1 squared left side. Then I will obtain what? VC squared. Look at it. Then I will obtain VC squared minus V1 squared equals how much? AS. I say equation 1 dash. Here, V2 squared minus V1 squared equals 2 AS. I see this as my equation 2 dash. Now, if I want to find VC squared in terms of V1 and V2, who is the barrier? If I want to find VC in terms of V1 and V2, who is my barrier? My barrier is AS. So can we remove or can we eliminate this AS? Yes, we can eliminate. How? By following division. If you divide 1 dash by 2 dash, if you divide 1 dash by 2 dash, what will happen? Look at it. What will happen? VC squared minus V1 squared over V2 squared minus V1 squared equals what? AS over 2AS. AS over 2AS. Then what will happen? Your AS terms, they get cancel out. A to A cancel out. S to S cancel out. Then half is remaining here. Cross multiply. Then you will get the answer. If you cross multiply them, you can say what? You can say VC. If you cross multiply it, 2 VC squared minus 2 VC squared minus 2 V1 squared equals what? V2 squared minus V1 squared. If you want to find VC squared, what you want to do? Then I will bring minus 2 V1 squared that side. Then minus 2 V1 squared that side means plus 2 V1 squared minus V1 squared. Then you will get what? Plus 2 V1 squared minus V1 squared means what? V1 squared plus V2 squared 2 VC squared. When you subtract VC squared, V1 squared plus V2 squared over 2. If you want to find VC, take the root. That's the answer. How many of you understood first for the answer? How many of you understood first for the raise your hands? How many of you understand? Now there is another method as well. Now one can do something like this. Rather than going with division method, one can do multiplying equation 1 by 2. One can multiply equation 1 by 2. And what can he do? He can subtract equation 2. All your knowledge. If you multiply equation 1 by 2, what happens? Here I am getting what? Here I am getting 2 VC squared. I am getting 2 V1 squared plus 2 AS. If I subtract minus 2 is second is equation. Minus V2 squared minus V1 squared minus 2AS. Minus 2AS plus 2AS cancel out. 2 V1 minus V1 squared means V1 squared plus V2 squared over the same answer. Copy down. Copy down. Copy down. Copy down. Someone leave a reply how many questions we discussed so far today. So Maharshi, I don't know. It's if not Manirangan, I don't know. Who else leave a reply? How many questions we discussed so far? If not Ashika, how many questions we discussed so far? Today, how many questions we discussed so far? Four questions. We took so much time, but that's completely all right. It's something not doing questions. I'm just explaining. I'm really explaining the logic behind this. So therefore it takes time, but completely all right, because we finished everything. Whatever the important theories related to linear motion, I completely explained. Almost everything is done. Right. Right. Okay. Right. Okay. 10, 15. Okay. Now look at it. Finish writing. If you could not write, what you do, take a screenshot. Now look at it. Everything is finished. Look at it. We started at 7:25, I think, right? We plan to start at 7:15, but it happens because these technical issues that's obviously happening, right? Okay. Now look at here. Take a screenshot. Take a screenshot. If you could not write down, then write down. Okay, okay. Look at it. Right now, in that tute, all the important questions are discussed, right? So that linear motion section is entirely covered, right? Entirely covered. But there are many tute questions. Usually I put all the tute questions. Sometimes we don't have time to do entire tute questions, right? We have taken roughly, I think, 1 month roughly. Yeah. We started linear motions on this August, right? Yeah. Roughly we took 1 month to complete linear motions. But we can't do the same thing for coming chapters as well, right? So therefore, there's a limitation of doing tute questions, but I will put plenty of tute questions because there are some students they want to try, they like to try good questions. So therefore, in my tute, all the important questions are there. I don't put the questions which have same idea in the all the question. I don't provide. Some tutes, when you go to that some tutes, uh, they're asking. They give U, they give V, they give A, they ask you to find T. Second question, they give A, they give V, they give U, they ask you to find something else. So I don't put that type of questions many, right? In my tute, whatever the questions important, whatever the questions that you can develop your logical thinking, that is in my tute question. I don't put past paper questions in my tute questions. Even if I put past paper questions, I put that past paper questions from this year, separately I will put it. So therefore, this tute question knowledge is enough. We successfully, I I think that with my best, I finished linear motion section, right? But there are many tute questions. If you request, I will send answer sheet for remaining tute questions. If it is possible, if I have time, in this week, I will conduct one additional class and I do the remaining questions. If not, I don't do it. Okay. I don't do it. Next week, obviously, I will start vertical motion under gravity. Next week, before this Sunday, I will send you a vertical motion under gravity tute. That's almost ready. I will send the tutes to your home. People who didn't send the address, send me. Most of you send to me. Then that is also done. Now, what I want from you is and feedback. So very few students they send the feedback. Not I'm asking how this class is convenient for you. What is lagging that you feel? Is it time is you guys have lack of time to try the questions? You guys have connection issues. So that's why I'm asking you feedback. So if it is possible to give a feedback after class finishes. Next important thing is every day I say after class finishes, it's your responsibility to redo these questions. Now today we discussed only 4 questions, but we took so much time and we explained. We took 3 hours. So redo these questions again and send me today itself. You take a small break, have your dinner, wash your face, wash your body, whatever, I don't mind, and take a small break and read the questions and send me. Before 1 a.m., send me. All my classes, I follow that rule. Before 1 a.m. today, send me that one. That is also done. So next week, we are starting a new chapter, vertical motion under gravity. But in order to understand vertical motion under gravity, you must need the same knowledge that you learned in linear motions. So therefore, new students, don't worry, just request send a message. I will send the recordings within this week. Somehow complete all your recordings. Then only you will understand vertical motion under gravity. After vertical motion under gravity, we are discussing about projectile motions. Projectile motions also you need this linear motion knowledge and vertical motion under gravity knowledge. So therefore, if your knowledge is not up to date, you are not able to understand any upcoming chapters. So therefore, as soon as try to finish these missed parts as soon as possible. Raise your hands. Whatever we learned today, genuinely you guys understand, raise your hand. Whatever we learned today, I understood, genuinely. Whatever we learned today, raise your hands. How many genuinely understand? Genuinely understood. Right, okay. Now don't leave at the last time because stay until the class finishes, right? Okay, coming days class duration will be next September onwards. We are doing 3.5 hour classes. 3.5 hour classes coming days onwards we are doing. Okay, class is finished. Yeah, have fun. We'll be next week with new lesson.